Hi, I'm Jeff Garzik. I'm the CEO, CTO, and co-founder of Bloq. For those of you that don't know me, I've been a nerd for a while. I worked for over 10 years at Red Hat, working on the Linux kernel with Linus Torvalds and that crew. And then in 2010, I found Bitcoin and was a very early Bitcoin developer. Worked with Satoshi, the inventor, and Gavin Andreessen, his second, in the early days of Bitcoin. And then went on to create some startups and build and talk about Bloq, which is what I'm going to introduce today. So Bloq is a blockchain infrastructure firm. We offer cloud infrastructure, wallet node infrastructure, etc., managed nodes, managed APIs for accessing blockchains. And this being an Avalanche conference, I, of course, have to give a shout out to anyone who wants to test drive our Avalanche managed nodes. Go on to bloq.com for that. But today, I wanted to be a little bit more developer focused and talk about DeFi and some of the DeFi modules that we built at Bloq that are completely open source and form kind of an interesting big picture that I'd like to brief developers on. So here's my presentation. So an economic lattice built and composed of open source DeFi modules. So what does that mean? It's DeFi didn't really start with Ethereum, but the technology base of the Ethereum virtual machine, or EVM, is now familiar to many developers. Companies have invested time into seasoned software that can now be extrapolated to chains beyond Ethereum, of course, notably Avalanche, but also ETC, RSK, Quantum, some of those others as well. Now, a great deal of time, money, and Q&A energy has been sunk into these existing software smart contracts. This is a familiar issue in information technology, that being that anytime there's a new system, a brand new system, it brings with it new bugs. That's not an indictment of the system. That's just normal software engineering. And so it stands to reason that if you want to sort of accelerate development, you can become compatible with a pre-existing system. And one of Avalanche's subnets, as most of y'all know, is compatible with the EVM. And so what we're presenting here, and we're going to talk about several components that we've built at Bloq related to DeFi, is that you consider a picture where multiple components across multiple chains ultimately creates a lattice of infrastructure for decentralized finance. This originally grew out of Bloq's DeFi project, Vesper, which you can visit at and be ready for the launch at vesper.finance. There we go. Without open source, composable money Legos can potentially become a walled garden. And, any developer, they don't need to DIY it. You shouldn't need to reinvent the wheel. And moreover, there are risks involved in reinventing the wheel versus going with an audited, real money tested, field tested smart contract. You see a lot of headlines about various hacks of smart contracts. And in almost every case, those hacks were related to a component that was new, maybe less audited, less trusted, or there's another aspect of that field testing, that seasoning of software that had not occurred. Basic components, standard open source, should be freely available and shareable. As from my days in Linux, there was a saying that with many eyes, all bugs are shallow. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but the basic principle is that sharing and open source increases the likelihood that more people will peer review the software, and they will make comments, make improvements, point out bugs, test it, etc. All of the benefits that come with open source. The first DeFi component that I would like to brief you on is the one that's deployed widely across multiple chains right now. It's a very simple managed address list, ADT, abstract data type. Basically, for some systems in smart contract land, you want to, well, pretty much always you want to apply the principle of least privilege. And as a result, in smart contract land, this winds up with systems of components which they all typically have an owner. In the worst case, the least secure case, that owner is a single Ethereum account. And that actually was the case for one DeFi project that got hacked this year. Other projects use multi-signature contracts to secure their systems. But an alternate method and a focal point is that you can build a smart contract system, a DeFi system, where all of the governance is focused on this one address list. And all the other components in the system are not permissioned or privileged. As a result, this makes auditing a lot easier. This reduces attack surfaces and makes the entire system security a lot more simple and easy to analyze, reducing the chance of backdoors and bugs. So that's the primary use of address list, which is, as the name implies, a list of addresses, a managed list of addresses. In addition to smart contract governance, you can use it for IDing approved tokens for collateral. The well-known Compound and Aave lending platforms use whitelists to denote which of the tokens are permitted on those platforms. And those whitelists, in turn, are owned by the governance system, which is the ideal way to manage a lot of this principle of least privilege. It can also be used for KYC type systems, whereby if you have a DeFi component that requires KYC, then you would use one of these address lists to have the list of accounts that are whitelisted for approval of that product. The next component is still under development. Going back to the address list, this has been deployed across ETH, Etsy, XDAI, multiple test nets. We're pushing it out to Avalanche and Quantum very soon. So again, this is a component designed to be available cross-chain. Similarly, we've created an account wrapper which binds any number of tokens into a single smart contract, which may then be transferred using modern NFT style tooling and various ERC related specifications. Those toolings, those marketplaces are now enabled such that you can wrap for example, you can wrap a basket of 10 tokens and essentially seal it or lock it, and then trade that basket without the risk of the underlying tokens being stolen, changed, modified, etc. And so this component is it's built for NFTs, but there's a core account smart contract which is not specific to NFTs that wrapper or bundle And we feel that that's something that can be standardized across multiple chains as well. A standard account smart contract, a smart account. If you're familiar with InstaDApp or some of the other smart account type applications, it's similar to that. But again, there's no underlying Jeff token associated with this. This is fully open source. All it requires is gas fees on the particular chain or network to use. It's not tied to any particular system. It's just a standard component that can be used with all systems. The next component that we built is a Merkle mass claim utility. This is a way for DeFi payouts and other payout type situations to be funded with a single funding transaction. That's in contrast with other situations where the funding is hundreds, potentially thousands of transactions just to do payouts. This aggregates potentially millions of claims into a single funding transaction. It works with any ERC20 token. And we also included a sidebar utility, which is just simply pay a certain number of addresses in a single transaction without a funding transaction claim process. Works with all ERC20s. We're about to deploy it across multiple chains again, just to form some standard infrastructure that developers can assume is available across multiple chains. And then finally, something that if some of the other DeFi projects had used this component, they would not have been hacked. A very popular hack recently of some of the DeFi projects is a Price Oracle attack, whereby someone uses a flash loan to manipulate an on-chain price feed. And once you manipulate that price feed, you can say make very cheap swaps, etc. Millions have been drained from some of these projects based on this. And the component that we wrote, an on-chain price oracle, is something that is available for Uniswap compatibles right now. So assuming, and I do assume this, that a Uniswap will be on Avalanche, you'll be able to use our on-chain price oracle module to guard against flash loan attacks and other similar attacks. We made a bit of an error on the slide, and the left column and the right column don't match. The left column is sol-price-oracles. And we also have another component about qualifying LP tokens that is also available at that URL, sol qualify LP. The qualify LP tokens is essentially using the aforementioned address list component to test whether a particular contract is indeed a Uniswap or Balancer LP pair. And once you have that answer, then you have the ability to much more easily integrate with some of these LPs in a way that's never been seen before. Users can drive by and qualify an LP and then offer that pair for collateralization or any other sort of decentralized finance type of application. So what is the end result is familiar, audited, tested, trusted components that developers can expect no matter what EVM chain you choose. We're aiming for kind of like a libc, a standard cross-platform set of components. These are all soon to be deployed on Avalanche and specifically take advantage of Avalanche's consensus speed. And ultimately, this enables developers to build bigger systems more quickly and more securely. So to learn more, visit us at bloq.com and our DeFi project Vesper.finance. We specifically have a page for DeFi solutions, bloq.com/DeFi. Follow us on Twitter, send us an email, etc. So thanks for listening. We think this lattice of components is a very nice, interesting, and we feel productive for the developer suite of tools. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it except for the network fees on the particular network that you use. Thank you for your time, and check us out on Twitter, on the web, etc.